Hi guys, very good evening to you. Welcome to the another exciting stuff. Today we are going to discuss about the how to crack the Excel interview. I've got a lot of emails from you, and I today I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to help you out in understanding that what generally questions we ask in the Excel, and definitely these are the questions which if you can answer, trust me that chances are very high that you will end up clearing the interview. Now, for those who are watching my channel for the first time, this is my channel www.youtube.com/Ajay Kumar Parmar, and this is going to be the video number 186. We have already uploaded 185 videos on Excel and VB and a couple of videos also on the MS Access. You can go to my playlist and you can find it out all the things according to the category, whatever the video you're looking forward to, whatever the subject you're looking forward to, you can go there. Now this video which I'm going to upload today, which I'm recording right away, this you will find it out in this Excel VB interview questions, where we have already recorded 4 videos, wonderful videos. Please go and don't forget to subscribe if you really think that this information is has actually today helped you a lot. So I'll try to make it as interesting, I'll try to make it as easy to understand as I always try in an attempt to make you awesome. So let us go ahead and let us see that what are those questions which always interviewer like to ask in the interview, right? Especially if I'm going to take your interview, definitely I would love to ask you these questions. They are the very basic questions, but at the same time very tricky as well, right? So let's start with the first question. The first question is, what is VLOOKUP and why we use it? Now you might have heard this a lot, if you have given the interviews, or maybe if you're in any of your circle, your friend, colleague, anyone has given the interview. VLOOKUP is something which everybody wants to know because it's a very the most used formula in Excel, right? Whether you're a banker, you are an IT professional, or you are in analytics field, you are in telecom sector, wherever in FMCG sector, you would definitely require this function. So but yes, the next thing is that which you might have not even uh, might have not known that what are the limitations of this function. So that is also I'm going to cover in this interview. So let's go ahead directly and start. What is the VLOOKUP and why we use it? So first of all, if I ask you this question, then you need to tell me that the VLOOKUP is actually a vertical lookup. It's a part of, it's a function which belongs to the lookup family, right? It is used to find out the information using the two tables, where you have one your own table and there is another table which is a big database, the main primary database, where you have thousands of records there. And if you want to retrieve the information of your own table using that main big table, then you use the VLOOKUP. So in other words, we can say that to retrieve the information from one table using the another table is actually there we use the VLOOKUP. So you can give the example also. For example, this is, let's say we have a one primary database, and here you have the employee ID, you have the names. So against the names you have their name, okay, against their employee IDs you have their name. So now what if in your department there are two employee IDs, 400 and 300. So imagine this is a huge database. Okay, here you have, let's say, 10,000 records and different employee IDs, right? And let me write some name here as well. So let's say these are the names, right? Now out of all these 1,000 records, what you are looking forward to is you want your employee IDs, right? So using the VLOOKUP function, you can use that. You can use this main table. So I'm not going to talk about here, going to explain you about the VLOOKUP function, or in the another questions also I'm going to tell you that how to answer the interview, but provided you should know that function. And if you do not know, then no problem, you can still watch this video and then come back to all these write down all the points. Like today I'm going to we have started with the VLOOKUP, so you can go here and you can see that in the playlist where I have recorded 12 videos on the VLOOKUP. So you can come back and you can see all these videos one by one. It is going to give you the understanding. So VLOOKUP is what? VLOOKUP is to retrieve the information. Okay, to retrieve the information of your table using the primary table. Now when I say primary table, it means that it can have a thousands of records. It's a main database basically, right? It really doesn't care about your database, right? Your database can have a limited record. For example, in your if your department is operational, and in that operation department you have two employee IDs and you want to find out, what are their names, so you can go ahead and use the VLOOKUP using, this table, right? So in this table you can find it out where those employee IDs are. So that is what, we use the VLOOKUP to get the information, to retrieve the information, right? So why we use it? Obviously we use it to whenever we are trying to find some information and it is available somewhere else in some other database. What is it? It is a function in Excel, and it is also known as the vertical lookup. It's very simple, right? Why it is called the vertical lookup? Because your lookup value which you are trying to find, if it is moving in the downward direction, for example here you are looking for the name of the employee ID 400, so if VLOOKUP will start its search, it will start its search like this. It will move in this direction, and that is why it is called the vertical lookup. So basically your lookup, if it is going in the downward direction, then you use the vertical lookup, right? Okay, so now the next thing is very important. Please also tell me any limitations if it has any. If it has any limitation. Yes, VLOOKUP has a limitation. Now the first limitation is, guys, what if I write here, let's say, let me write here the status. Okay, so I'm gonna say that pass, fail, not known to us. Okay, and then fail, and then pass, and then pass. Now let's say you need here this status, then VLOOKUP we cannot use the VLOOKUP here. The reason is because VLOOKUP doesn't work in the reverse direction. It always works in the left to right direction, right? So when you're going to use the VLOOKUP here, VLOOKUP, and you're going to select your employee ID in the lookup, and you're going to select the table, you can't select your table like this, because then that will the lookup value which we are trying to find it out, which is your employee ID, it is going to make the second column of this table. And when you start the selection, it always has your lookup value in the primary table, it always has to be the first column. So if it is going to be the first column, it cannot move in this direction because that will make it second column. So it always moves left to right in this direction, so it can't work in this direction, right? So but there is a solution. Yes, that's the limitation, but then you can always move or copy and paste your data and align it to the left side, and then you can use this table, and in this table the status would be on the third column. Okay, so I'm again saying that I'm not here to talk really about the how we actually write the functions, because on that we have already a lot of videos uploaded on my playlist. Go there and watch the videos. Here we are basically trying to understand that what questions your interviewer can ask you, the tricky questions, right? So that is the first limitation. The limitation is that it does not work in reverse direction, or you can say that it works only in left to right direction. Okay, and in order to move it, in order to work on it in this direction, in the reverse direction, you got to move your copy or cut, and you need to paste the data in front of your lookup value, which is this in this case. What is the second thing? The second thing is also very common, which is that VLOOKUP does not work if your lookup is repetitive. What does that mean? Now that means if you have here 400 and there is one more employee ID, which is, let's say, employee ID called 400, then when VLOOKUP is going to work, let's say I'm going to apply the VLOOKUP here in this table. VLOOKUP is always going to pick up the first value, which is in this case is triple D. Okay, so VLOOKUP will never be able to reach to this second employee ID, which is repeating. So if you have a repetition in your lookup values, you cannot use the VLOOKUP. Of course, there are different ways of using it. I mean, you can do a lot of other things, but if you ask me that, just simply if you want to use the VLOOKUP without using any column helper or row helper, then can we use it in case we have a repetition? No, you can't use it, because the moment VLOOKUP started search finding out this employee ID 400, it will stop here. because it finds the result. So if it has found the result, why it is going to move forward? It will never move forward, right? So that is a kind of, again, the limitation, that if the lookup is repetitive, please avoid using it. Though there are different ways of making it unique, but because your interviewer has asked you that what are the limitations, you need to simply tell that these are the limitations. Okay, all right. Now let's go ahead and let's see that which formula you can use over VLOOKUP function. Now, because VLOOKUP has a limitation, so interviewer may ask you, a cunning interviewer, maybe like me, right, is going to ask you that if you have the limitations, do you also know the how to sort out those problems? Because in Excel, or you learn anything, right, you learn VBA or you learn MS Access, you learn Access VBA, SQL Server, you will have the problems, but then how to overcome that, right? So this question is one of my favorite questions, that if you have limitations on the VLOOKUP, then without changing any using any extra columns, is there any formula you can tell me? So you can tell, yes, we have a formula called index, which is again a function which belongs to the lookup family, like VLOOKUP. Okay, so index is what? Index can work in any direction. It can work from right to left and left to right as well. For example, in this case, as you know that if I just if I just put it in this sheet, let me just put it here. Let me write the new data quickly. So let's say you have the employee ID here, 100, 200, 300, and you have status here. Let's say male, female, and male, and here you have, let's say, age. Okay, now in this table, if you are asked to, let's say, find out the status of the employee ID called, let's say, 300, then you know that VLOOKUP you can't use the VLOOKUP. The reason is because VLOOKUP is to the right side of your lookup value. No doubt you can, as I said, that cut or copy and paste it here and you can move it. But what if you don't have to move? Because if you have 10,000 or maybe 1 lakh rows in Excel, then copying those 10 lakh copying those 1 lakh cells again, just for the reason that you don't know actually the index function, is going to make your file very heavy. And if you're going to apply the formulas here, then it will also take a lot of time to in the calculation process. So we can avoid it using the index function. So in the index function, we can start from anywhere. We can start the table from here, as you know that in the you can see here that I have selected the index from any direction. So in this case, I will simply give the row number and the column number. So what I'm going to give the row number, I'm going to tell that what is my row number for 300. So in this table, my 300 is in the 4th row. And then what is the column number? So in this table, because I need the status, the column number is to 1. So you can see here that I am not really dependent upon where exactly my values are, right? So it can move in any direction. But yes, if then this employee ID is also, let's say if it is coming here and you want to find it out, or maybe let's say 300 is coming here and you want to find it out, the another status, let's say it's not known, then of course index will also have a problem. But then we have a ways to sort out those problems. But in this case, because VLOOKUP always works in the left to right direction, index can work in any direction. That's a good thing about the index, right? So you can tell your in your interview that index can work in any direction. And I guess I also have the series. Yeah, you can go there and find out this index function. There are 4 videos there. It's a beautiful function. It's one of my favorite function. In fact, you won't believe it, I generally don't even prefer using the VLOOKUP, because I think that index is more powerful. What VLOOKUP can achieve, index can achieve it very easily, but the vice versa does not hold those facts. It does not hold true, because of the simple reason, one reason I told you, that index can work in any direction and VLOOKUP doesn't work in case if you have something just before your lookup value. So it doesn't work in the reverse direction, right guys? Okay, I hope it is making a sense to you. All right, so now, what is the third question which they can ask, that do you know charts and pivots? What is the common thing between them and what is their purpose? So charts and pivots, they are all the analytical tools. They are the predefined inbuilt features. You can go to the insert and you can create the chart from here, and you can create the pivot table from here, right? So the common thing between them is that both are used to prepare the analytical, basically the data. It is used to do the analysis. In case of the charts, we have a more of a graphical view. In the pivots, we have a more of a summarization of the report, right? That's basically the difference. Or you can say that it's basically, yeah, it's a kind of a difference, but at the same time both are used for the analysis. And what is their purpose? Obviously they are very beautiful gift actually given by the Microsoft, because when you're going to do the analysis, they make your analysis very easy to understand. For example, let's go ahead and check the things here. So let me quickly create here some names. So let's say these are the names, and here let's say we have got their marks. Okay, now, and let's say we have their city as well. So let's say this is the Boston, this is Delhi, this is Moscow, and let's say one more city I'm going to add here is Chandigarh. Okay, now these are the cities, and you want to see now, you have a city, you have a mark. So let's say you want to prepare a chart on this. So let's go ahead and quickly prepare a chart on this. So I'm going to prepare this marks, the charts on the marks. So you can move it here, and I'll select the data, which data I want. So this is the data I want. So I click OK, and there we go. So now you can see that this is basically a graphical view. Okay, so graphical view, when you're going to send this chart to your management, it's a very simple chart. I'm just trying to explain to answer the this question. Generally in the practical environment, you make a lot of trend lines, you make trend lines, and then you also combine the charts like line graph and everything. You can again go to the playlist and you can find out the charts and the pivots. Everything is here, so you need not to go anywhere. You can watch those videos. So this chart clearly tells me that Ajay has got the maximum marks. Okay, and this person has got the minimum marks without even looking at the data. So this is kind of a graphical view, right? So if you want to make the pivot, then of course you can make the pivot. You just go to the insert and you create the pivot here. So I'm going to create the pivot here, right here, and this is more of a reporting part. We use it from the reporting parts. For example, we need to see that, let's say, from which city how many students are coming, and what is exactly their score. Or maybe you can put it here as well, in the under each city, how many people are there. You can design, you can go to the design mode, and you can further do a lot of things. But this is more of a your summarization. A person who is going to see this, he can quickly see all the things. He can even play around with the pivot. Okay, so for example, what you can do is you can also design it. You can give it a color. This is something I'm telling you, just I mean, this is not the question basically it was asked, but still I'm just trying to tell you that the pivots actually look very beautiful. So you can see here that we have got the pivot and do not show subtotal. So this is how you can see here that from the Boston city, these are people and their marks are like this, their average is like this. You can also convert the average. You just go to the value field and you can change it to the average, right? So it is going to give you the average. Now because this is small data, so obviously you may not find it so interesting, but trust me, you can change a lot of things here. You can, what if you want to find only Chandigarh and Delhi? Okay, or maybe let's say Boston and Chandigarh, these two cities you want to find out. So just click OK, and so person can also do the filter. And the good thing is you don't really require any formula here, right? They are the drag and drop show, auto visit kind of a thing, right? So that is a common thing. What is the first common thing? That both uses data. There has to be some source of data which is to be supplied. For example, in the charts we use this data, and for the pivots we use this entire table, right? And then both are used for the analysis. Company can do the analysis through the graphs. You can show them that where you stand today, and after having the same performance, where you will be after the next 5 years. Or maybe you can do the comparison between the years. In 2001, how much was your business developed, and in 2000 some another year, how much business was developed. So these are sort of those analytical tools which we have in Excel. Okay, so now what is the next question? Next question is where we use the dollar sign. Now this is a very basic question which I always ask. If somebody is coming to me and they say that they know Excel very well, and I really want to find it out that whether that person knows the Excel or not, I will start, maybe possibly I will, the first question which I would ask is this: do you know the dollar sign, where we use it? If the person is going to say no, he does not know, then I'm so sorry, I will not even go ahead and ask the next question, because this is something, this is the base, this is the first thing you should understand before learning any Excel formula. It's a use of a dollar sign, right? Go and watch my couple of the videos on the demo videos on cell referencing. Okay, it's a long video. There I have divided it in part 1 and part 2, and I have actually explained a lot about these dollar signs, right? Through the dollar signs you can make your formula very dynamic. You can drag the formula in any direction, in the downward or left to right, and you really don't have to worry about it. For example, in this sheet, as you see, you have an employee ID, you have a name, you have a status. So let's say if you have a name here as well, and you need the name also, so I am not going to write here again a VLOOKUP function. What I will do, I will make this function so strong using the dollar signs, that if I'm going to drag this in the left to right and in the downward direction, the things will automatically come. This is what exactly the use of the dollar sign comes, right? So it's a cell referencing part. You can freeze the things. So you can say that we use the dollar sign whenever as per the requirement, of course. When we want to freeze something, for example, as a rule, when you go down, Excel always increments the row number by 1, and when you move left to right, Excel formula always goes to the next column, increments the column basically. If you in a situation where you do not want to increment the column, or the row, then you can freeze that. So basically, any cell is defined in, it can be defined in 2 ways, in 4 ways. One is this A1, and then another one is $A1, and the another one is, you can write here, let me put the dollar here, and then you have the $A, $1. Okay, it has to be, let me change the case of this. Okay, so these are the 4 types which you can use. By default, this is the one Excel generates, and these are the things which Excel doesn't generate, but we can make a use of it. So in my playlist, I think I have discussed about those videos. I'm not sure where they are going to be, but you can do one thing. You can go to the playlist, and here in the search playlist, you can click on the demo videos, press enter, and I'm sure it's going to, okay, so it's a playlist basically. Don't go to the playlist, but maybe you can search here and can write that demo videos, or you can write the cell referencing part, and it is going to take you to that cell referencing videos, and you can then understand them. Okay, so what is the next thing? What do you know that I may not know? Any example? Now this is again my favorite question. I always try to learn something, and I always believe that somebody who is giving the interview, not necessarily that that he always has a little lesser knowledge than you. No, it is not like that. It is always good to share the information. So I would definitely ask him, maybe this would be my last question, that what do you know that I may not know? Would you like to give an example? Can you do you have that much of a confidence? Now I mean, I may be knowing the things which you are going to tell me, but then again, you can think of the functions like you can think of the indirect function. Now indirect is such a powerful function. You can think of the offset function. Many people, they don't know this, though they say that they know the advanced Excel, but they don't know these functions. They are very powerful functions, right? I can give you a very small example, but otherwise you can go to the playlist and you can again go and search for this. All right, so this is where I have this indirect function, right? So you can see the 6 videos on the indirect, and trust me, you will be the happiest person when you're going to see these videos, because they are very powerful functions. Now for example, let me give you this example. Okay, an example, let's say if I ask you an example, you can tell them that, all right, so let's do it like this. Now how would you get this 44 here, 23 here, 13 here, and 10 here using a formula? How will you get it? Now if I am going to link this cell, like this, and if I'm going to drag it to the left to right, you know that while moving left to right, C2 will change to D2, and then D2 will change to E2, and so on, because the columns are going to be incremented, and ultimately you will end up having 0 and 0, because rule says that when you're going to move in the left to right direction, column will change. And that is the reason here you have a C2, here you have this D2, and then here you have E2. So how you can actually get these values in the horizontal direction? So it's very easy. What you will do, you will quickly go ahead and write here C2. What is my C2 is this, and then you're going to write here C3, and then you're going to write here C4, and then you're going to write here C5, right? Once you have written all these cells, okay, or maybe let me see if I can just simply drag it. If you drag it and fill series, you will get the C5. So if you have more cells, you can further drag it, and it will show as C6, C7, C8. So you don't have to write them manually. So now I'm going to use the indirect function. So I would say that go in the F2, and in the F2 it will find the C2. So it will go to the C2 and pick up the value for you. So that indirect means what? Directly you're not going directly to the C2 cell. You are first going to the cell called F2, and in the F2 you're finding the cell at the C2, and from there indirect picks up that value. So when you're going to drag this formula, obviously you know that here I'm going to this F2 is going to change to G2. So in the G2 you have written C3, so indirect goes in the C3 and picks up the value, and then so on. So this is a very powerful function. It is used to solve out really great awesome puzzles, and one of those puzzles I have discussed even in my indirect video. Just go and watch that. Okay, so this is the function I would really love to tell him. Okay, or another thing is that same results I can achieve using the transpose as well. Now many of you might have known that in order to change the sequence of this, I can use the transpose. Copy this and paste special, which is Alt ES, and I can press a transpose, and then the data will change the direction. The direction of the data will be changed. So what I did is Alt ES. That's the shortcut key for the paste special. But then this is not a formula. If I change this to 77, you see that here nothing is going to be changed because we did this manually. So instead of using the transpose function in the paste special, you can also write like this: select all the cells and then press transpose equals to and transpose, and then start the bracket and then select the table. Once you're going to select the table, you need to press Ctrl Shift Enter. Remember guys, I'm not going to press enter. You need to press Ctrl Shift Enter, and the moment you press Ctrl Shift Enter, these curly brackets will be inserted in every cell, and that is the indication that tells that alright, so my user has actually used this function as an array function. So what you have done is basically you have pressed Ctrl Shift and Enter. Okay, let me just repeat it for you. So I've selected all the cells, and then I go in the fx bar equals to transpose, and I'm going to select my table. I selected my table, I just close it and then Ctrl Shift Enter. Now what is the good thing? If you're going to change anything here, you would also find the change happened here. Okay, because you have applied the formula here. It is not a paste special transpose. So these are the two things I really would love to tell my interviewer, and I'm sure he would be impressed, right? So there are thousands of things, because we are on the video number 186. So if you going to watch all these videos one by one on any of the subject, you would understand what I'm actually saying. Every video is unique. I have tried to give you a lot of in-depth knowledge on almost all the functions in Excel. If you see it from the MS perspective. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's see that what is the next question. So the next question is, what do you understand by Excel and why we use it? Now that is also a very basic question. Obviously a person who is working on Excel and is come for the interview, he should be knowing that. So what do you understand by Excel? So you can see that Microsoft, it's a Microsoft product, and it's one of the largest selling application which Microsoft has produced so far, and it's a spreadsheet. We also call it a spreadsheet. It's an application which comes with the Office, and every 2 or 3 years after Microsoft comes with the different versions, with the new enhancements, with the new features. Right now, recently they have launched Excel 2016, and prior to that there was Excel 2013, 2010, 2007, 2003. So you can also give a a little bit background, so that person can actually know that this person doesn't know Excel, but at the same time this person also, I think, loves to work on Excel, because he knows a little bit of the history as well. So Excel is used to do the analysis. It's an analytical tool. You can make the pivots, you can make the charts. Excel uses cells, sheets, to store the information. It has around 10 lakh rows. If you talk about the recent versions, 2007 onward versions, we have got 10,48,000 rows, and similarly we have got around if you see that 16,384 columns. This is the last column, right? So it is not just used to store the information, but on that information it is, we can make the we can, using the functions, we can do a lot of stuff. We can search the information, we can change the information, we can do the analysis on that, we can make the tools on Excel, using the VBA also. If you can also add it, this VBA word as well, which is the Visual Basic for Application, VBA for Excel, right? We do the programming on that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see what is the next question. So the next question is, how will you understand Excel 2003, 2007, 2010, 2013 and 16? Any similarities and dissimilarities between them? Are they compatible with each other? All right, so what do you understand by the Excel 2003, 7? So these are actually the different versions which every now and then, I mean, after little bit of delay, Microsoft, these developers, they work on these tools and they try to enhance the product and they try to add the new features, because it's a very competitive world. And also because of the fact that Excel is so much used in almost every industry, as I was telling you earlier, every guy today is supposed to know Excel, right? At least the basic is must. So you got to be in the market, you got to give, in order to meet the demands of your users in this highly competitive world, you definitely require new things. And so I understand Excel as a very strong analytical tool, very much in demand, where you can apply a lot of functions. You can use the graphs, you can use the pivots, you can summarize the things. There are a lot of good inbuilt graphical views you can make. And so this is so the similarity is this, that you can do the analysis, you can store the information there. They have the cells where you can store the information, and any previous version, like in 2003, what formulas you have, they are being carry forwarded in the next version. So every version is compatible with each other, especially the previous versions are definitely going to be compatible with the upper versions. So what you find in 2003, you will definitely find in 2007, 2010, right? Maybe in a different view, but the things will definitely be there, right? What are the dissimilarities? So dissimilarity, you can see that in the 2003 and the previous versions, you used to have around 65,535 rows, right? I'm not sure about that, but it may be one number up or down, but this was the number of the rows in the 2003. But then they launched to 2007 and they increased the row numbers drastically by 10 lakh plus. So you have a lot of space here, right? So you have the 10 lakhs rows, or you can say the 10 million rows. You have the 10 million rows, and so you can find it out. Here you have 10,48,576. right? And similarly, you have a lot of columns here. Now in the previous version 2003, there were, I think, around 216 columns, but now they have drastically improved with the version called 2007. And on after the 2007 whatever version they have launched, so they have around 16,384 columns. Okay, so this is the major difference. And of course there are a lot of other things also, like in the pivots, they have introduced the slicers. You can see here the slicers. This was not available in the 2003. Then there were some functions as well. For example, if error is a function which was not in 2003, then but in the going forward versions they introduced this function. And also the major differences in the graphs. When you prepare the graphs, as I was telling you, that in the graphs you have now already pre-built these designs which were not available in 2003. right? So in 2003, because I used to work in 2003, and I know that it was actually a very tough time when you wanted to make the crafts, because in 2003 you didn't have these ready-made colors, and you got to spend a lot of time in order to see which actually the color is going to suit you the most, right? So every time you choose the color and then you press OK, and when you press OK, then you got to see the color effects, right? But in this case, you can be very quick. You can simply go here and keep on selecting these different slide designs and see that if it suits your requirement or not. So from the customization point of view also, from the graphical view also, from the colors effects also, they have done a lot of hard work, and tremendous good changes have been incorporated, right? So what is the difference between, the last question is are they compatible with each other? So yes, any lower version is definitely going to be compatible with the higher version, but the higher version may have some problem, because for example, if you send this a file which is made in 2010 or 2013, and somebody is going to open that file in 2003, then there are functions, as I was talking about the if error, I think that function will not work here in the 2003, because that's a lower version, right? And also I think you can try it. I'm not sure on this part, because I haven't tried it for ages, but I believe that if you can open the lower version in the upper version. For example, if somebody sent you the file in 2003, you can definitely open it in 2007 or 10. But if you send a file 2007 or 2010 to somebody who uses 2003, then I'm really not sure whether that is going to be opened or not. You can check that, and please send out the comments to me. That would also be an additional information. So as far as the compatibility with each other concerned, 2007 onwards, right now 2003 is not really in use. People are now started using 2013, 2010 and 2016 also they have launched. So if I particularly talk about 2007, 10 and 13 and 16, they are compatible with each other. You will really not find much difference in terms of using. If I right now, this is the 2010, and if you see your 2013, you would see that there is a little bit of like customization, there's a little bit difference in these headers, but it's not that if you learn Excel 2010 then you will be totally blank if somebody gives you 2030. No, it is not like that, right? And this also applies to the VBA as well. Compatible, they are compatible. Exceptions are there, but they are very less, especially in the VBA. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and let's cover this. The last topic is, what is the difference between function and a formula? Can we create our own function? Now this is a question which I really don't, I will never ask this question to anyone, because I think I will not gain anything out of it. Even a person is going to give me the wrong answer, because for me, I think every formula or a function is almost same, as long as you know how to use it, as long as you know that what are the parameters, how do we can actually incorporate the dollars. But generally still, because from the interview perspective, a function means that which is a predefined function in Excel. For example, when you go to the FX, you see here a lot of functions. Click on the all. So these are all the functions which are inbuilt functions, right? You cannot use any other function which is not in the list. So these are called the functions, right? What is a formula? Now formula can be which you are going to develop like this. For example, I'm going to sum these two values. Now this is not actually a function. You're not using VLOOKUP or any the function like index. This is, you're simply adding these you're adding these cells. So this is called your formula. That's the difference, right? That's, function is an inbuilt feature, right? And also when you can actually combine 2 or 3 functions together, for example VLOOKUP with match or HLOOKUP with match or any function, I use a lot of functions. You can go ahead and watch my arrays. Here in the arrays, there must be there's a playlist, actually one of my favorites. Yeah, arrays most powerful formula. Here if you go ahead and watch these videos, you would find that we have used almost 6-7 functions in a one single fx bar, in one single formula. So I guess in that way also you can see that that's a formula, combination of different functions. Now can we create our own function? No, you cannot create your own function. You are totally dependent upon the Excel functions, right? But I think that they are more than sufficient. they are more than your requirement, because they have created thousands of functions. You can use all these functions. So there are n number of functions which even I'm not aware of, like, this, I don't know what is it. So you can google it, you can take the help on this function to understand it. That's a separate thing. Okay, but yes, if you know a VBA, then you can create your own functions. I can create my own function with the name of called Ajay, but in the front end Excel part you cannot do that. And if you want to understand that how you can create the functions on the VBA, then I would say that you go to the VBA videos here in the VBA video playlist and search for the videos where I have said that create your own function. Okay, or maybe you can refer to this VBA function, right? Or maybe you can also, guys, go to my the website, which is called the excelvbalover.com. I will mention in my comments excelvbalover.com. This is my website. Here you will find all these videos. We have put in all these videos under the specific categories, so that you really don't have to search a lot. You can go to the category and you can find it out, the n number of the links there on the videos, and that will actually make it very easy for you, not just to search the video, but also at the same time you also know that what you're exactly going to watch. So that's the end of this long video. I hope you enjoyed this session, and please feel free to ask any questions on that, and I will come up with then some more exciting stuff very soon. Till then, you please prepare yourself for the Excel interview and let me know in case if you require any assistance on this. Thank you so much, guys, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Have a very happy learning.